What's up, guys? How you doing? Welcome to an extreme stream. I was just doing some chat in the Slack chat room, and just like, well, if I'm here, may as well just do an extreme stream. I haven't done a video in a couple of days. I'm trying to do one for the past 2 days, but nothing really stuck with me. So unfortunately, I missed my video out before the big drop. I had one this morning before the drop, and then I didn't put it out because I had to take my kids to school. Then it dropped, and I'm like, well, now this is going to look stupid. So I never put that one out, so I figure I'd do this one today. What's up, Bass Clef? Pastor's perspective. All right. That's always interesting. What's up, Vlad? What's up, Ted? Shorts are looking good. In what way? And I know you and I talked about them going up. We'll talk about that a little bit. What's up, Elizabeth? By the way, Binance seems to be okay platform to follow up on my question from yesterday. Okay. No, Binance is a pretty good platform. If you don't know about their web app is a good way to trade. I'm sorry, not their web app. They're basically their software platform, which is probably built on Cardova or something. But Technology Artist, what's up? How you doing? So we had the event, and if you guys don't know, I think I mentioned this on my last video. What's up, Ray? How you doing, Ray? If you guys don't know, you may know, but we've been kind of likening where we're at now to this base that we were forming right here. Pink still recovering from the power hour. Yeah, it can be an intake. We go over a lot of stuff, but we've kind of been likening this to this. The bear flag isn't quite didn't quite form as nicely, but very similar situation. In fact, if you kind of omit the bear flag from it, you can see we have basically two subsequent trends. We've got this trend here, which is kind of a downward sloping channel, which, as we know, downward channels get broken to the upside usually. So there's that one. And then we have the pop out of there, and then the kind of, this one we came to a point on. I actually had a video on right before that thing dropped. I think it was right before that thing dropped. One of these videos I posted was like, literally while it was processing, it started to drop. I forget which one. And then over here, we never quite had that exact same, point of the spear. But nonetheless, we had very declining volume in here over the weekend. Then it just straight up dropped. What up, Jamie Diamond? Can I pay for that power hour with a super chat? I have a gift card for cheap with BTC. I guess, Jamie. Yeah, hit me up on an email or something, randy@realcrypto.com. And then, yeah, we can discuss it there, Jamie. But yeah, if you, yeah, we'll just confirm email addresses and stuff. And you've been around a while, so there's my email if you want to shoot me an email or something. But yeah, absolutely, why not? I think they take a hefty fee for the super chat. To be honest with you, I don't really know. I appreciate all my super chats, but I don't really. Those are just kind of tips. I don't really do much with that income. But yeah, go ahead and hit me up right there. Randy@realcrypto.com. Oh, I do have a Twitter, in case you guys know. Not super active on it, but it does post my videos and stuff when they come out. And I do chat on it sometimes, @realcryptotrade, if you guys don't know there. But yeah, so we're likening these two drops together. And what we were talking about this morning in the power hour was basically likening where we are right now to being right about here. We had the initial drop on slightly higher volume, which we had over here as well. And then, we talked about maybe walking lower here, and we're kind of doing that. And we're kind of doing that right now. We're walking lower. We'll see if we get that next drop. That's kind of what we were discussing this morning. But all weekend long, we were kind of looking at Ethereum. We were really trading heavily in Ethereum. And that proved to be very good because Ethereum has really been the leader in upside down, downside for the past month or so. And so it's been really nice to trade that. Bitcoin, as we know, like I said, I'm pretty much abstaining from Bitcoin. Even right now, I'm still just trading Ethereum. But Bitcoin probably can and will get going if we break this kind of trend line right here. And what we're doing is we're likening this also to this trend line over right there. So, I'm going to back out to a bigger time frame chart just because there's a lot of information. Not my usual. I usually live on the 2-hour chart, but that's kind of where we're sitting right there. that downward sloping channel is invalidated by a longer time frame bear flag. You mean this one? Or which one are you referring to? Is that Ghost? Is that you, Ghost, that just joined over here in Slack? I know you and I have been chatting a little bit. If you're the same guy, if you want to chat with me in Slack, I can get to you faster over there. But so, yeah, just keep in mind, I'm just mentioning this as a reference's sake. I'm just keeping this as a reference's sake. And like I said at the start here, there's a bigger bear flag right there. And, keep in mind there's 100 different ways to do technical analysis, like everything else in life. So, and I can't point out every single argument and counter argument. If you guys do have an altering opinion, please do bring it forward and we can see it. And maybe I missed something. Always willing to talk about that. But yeah, so likening this to this over here, and again, just using this downward sloping thing for a reference point, there is a bigger bear flag here. There is a kind of a bear flag here. It's a bit of a different formation, but either way, both of these forming right before we break a trend line right here. And I'm not going to take credit for this. Someone else in my Slack chart, I'm sorry, I don't remember who. I've been trying to remember who. No one's been able to tell me who. Pointed out this fractal right here, essentially. I kind of don't like that word, but I guess it's a thing. So this fractal, as my computer lags on me, and this little fractal right there, kind of being two, repeats of the same thing. So I don't know if it drops like this. Alex Tool, well, if you want to start talking like that, Alex, I'll go ahead and kick you out if you don't have anything constructive to say. So, but I think that's actually a pretty viable comparison, this to this one. So, and in that regard, this would kind of bring us a little bit lower here. So we'll kind of have to wait and see there. Hide user on this channel. There you go. So anyway, I think the comparison here is pretty fair. I think it's a pretty fair comparison. And again, we've been talking about this bear flag waiting for us to drop lower. And let's get out of there. And looking at the bigger picture, even out from that, we can go to the daily time frame. Go to the daily time frame here. We've been kind of talking about, this. Well, we've been talking about this for months now. Trying maybe finally to break this downtrend that we've been in, just literally stuck in this trend, and maybe finally breaking this 6,000. Like we said, it's been like 57.75, 58.75 has been the real resistance. We've kind of poked a little bit lower, then coming a little bit higher, but in time it looks like we're just squeezing this to the downside, and just the more times we touch a trend line, the more likely we are to fail. And you can see this little bounce didn't get very far. We still can't pop back up out of it, but it doesn't look very good. You can see on the Coinbase chart here on the daily, not a lot of bullish sentiment in this chart. We actually had a little bit of rising volume here. The volume was looking really good in here, actually. I was getting a little worried that we were gonna finally rally. As a matter of fact, this trend line was drawn here before, respecting these highs. We poked a little bit higher here, and that's a very nice candle right there. And then subsequently rolling over, not really much, not much support up there. We pretty much died on low volume on those two candles right there. And then we had this increased volume, then boom, straight down. And we kind of talked about that. And then we did it again. We did it again here. This bear flag, I was thinking maybe this would be the breakdown. Nope, we rallied again. And guys, it's only you never know when it's going to break. You just do the work, and then the market will tell you what to do after that. And by the work, I mean the homework. Just keeping it real with everyone. I thought we were going to break down here, because keep in mind where we were in the cycle right there. We just broke this trend line. Volume increased for the first time in quite a while right there after a very, very low volume area. All right, I got to get rid of those freaking things. Ooh, Johnny B reminding to smash the like button. So absolutely, guys, smash that like button if you haven't already. Someone let me know if I need to start talking about Bitcoin Cash, or not Bitcoin Cash, Bitconnect. So, all right, there we go. Now that's not going to be in our way. So you can see we broke right there. I thought we were marching down higher here. We had pretty good volume. We had one bottoming candle there, but it wasn't too crazy. And then, nope, we actually put an inverted head and shoulders in here. And then we rallied higher, and then a bear flag. And of course, you know, again, we're down here. You think maybe we're going lower, but no, we never really got the signal to short. We just kind of slowly started rallying into a very low volume situation up here. Another move to the downside. And then we have another bear flag. So lots of bear flags being negated down here. One of them will work in time. I can't tell you which one will work. I can just tell you that we have a bear flag. And if you guys don't know what to do with the bear flag, we need to have a longer conversation. But that's pretty much what you do in the markets is you take your signals given to you. You make a plan accordingly. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, you get stopped out. And then you move on. And that's about it. Alex, did you move channels or something? Did we have a Alex Smith? Are you the same guy that? No, Alex Toole. Okay, so you have Toole, you got Smith, you got a couple other ones. Okay. I'll leave you here, Alex, if you want to chat. But if you start doing weird stuff again, I'll go ahead and remove you. All right, let's see what I missed here. I was doing some charting. I saw some chatting. What do I think about ETH and XLM? We've kind of been avoiding XLM. It's been very directionless lately. Not a whole lot going on, and we're just avoiding that. There is kind of a reversal pattern, not a textbook head and shoulders, but still a reversal pattern here with much lower prices potentially. Don't remove the wrong Alex. I won't do that. But so XLM, we've pretty much been avoiding that. It has been holding up really the best of almost any large cap cryptocurrency. We have come down quite far, but really maintaining a support level here. Although we are slowly moving into that support level, eventually it will break, which would probably lead to a pretty good short if that were to break on some high volume. So we'll have to wait and see when that happens. But you can see no volume being supportive, whereas in other coins, maybe that's not the best example. Bitcoin Cash, not the best example. But we've seen other coins with higher volumes lately on the right side of the chart. And XMR is probably the one I was thinking about. See some higher volumes right there, but not really so much in XLM. XMR, yes. XLM, no. And I think ETH is done. I mean, it's just done. It's down so far. Like, this looks so bad, it's hard to get any big picture. So I actually moved to the log scale for ETH and some of these other cryptos down a ton, just to keep things rational in terms of these moves being big moves. Otherwise, they seem really small. But you look at the daily chart of Ethereum here, if you avoid that, shorter term time frame noise, you can just see that there's no uptrend in ETH. This was nothing more than a bounce. And so far, there's nothing to negate that argument. So until we get over that 230 level there definitively, it's just another lower high. And pretty big sell candle here. We're going to close this out in about an hour and a half. And you can see how high the volume is. We had a couple of low volume candles towards the top here. We tried to rally and just couldn't continue. So hopefully, if you guys bought that, you sold. I think my last video I think we were down lower here. I don't remember exactly. We talked about rallying and maybe not getting over this. And it looks like we never did get over that. So very, very weak market here. Pink Sheep, what's up? Looks like Gabor's got a question. I'm currently shorting Ethereum. I want to take profits around 150, 170, stop around 204. What do you think? Are you in a short as well? I actually am in a short in Ethereum right now. You said a stop at 204, right about there. I'm going to go to the 15 minute to get a little bit more. So 204 is probably the lowest I would put a stop. Like the lowest. I'd rather put a stop at 208, 209 if you want to swing it for much lower prices. If we kind of take this pattern out here and we H over a little bit more, you can probably move your stop even down here to maybe the 200 level. That seems to be a big round number that we're trading around. But yeah, I don't think that's too bad. That's the lowest I'd put my stop. I think up above this would be, you'd have a little bit more room. But that just depends on however you want to trade it. If you're looking for a move down to here, I know you gave your target, but I'm just giving this for other people's sake. If you have a smaller target, like if you wanted to get back down towards here, then I think your stop's going to have to be a little bit tighter. But if you want to swing it for longer, you run the risk of maybe we go lower, then pop up a little bit, and then test this 200 level again. So maybe you'll spike above there and take out 204, but it probably won't take out, you know, this high right here. In terms of 150 to 170, I don't think that's too bad. We got is that the low right there? Yeah, 167 is that most recent low, and so that's probably going to provide us with a little bit of support. But we always run the risk of turning around in this situation. However, this sell-off appears to have just started, so we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But the volume is really good to go for continuation. All right, now I get to Pink Sheep. Newer subscriber, thanks for joining us, Pink Sheep. Higher lows since June, like Vlad pointed out. What does that imply? Well, I don't think it implies a whole lot, considering those higher lows are minuscule compared to the lower highs. You've got obviously much larger selling pressure than you have buying pressure here. So there's June. Yes, you do have a trend line here, but you know, we kind of charted that a little bit ago. This is just a line of resistance. That's pretty much all this is. If you omit that wick right there and tighten it up, you can draw that as a trend line, and I believe that would be valid. And it's just another trend line, just another upward sloping trend line, but this much longer downward sloping trend line has acted as resistance continuously, and we're still rocking towards the low here. And so I don't think it implies much that we have higher lows, because the lower highs are still much more egregious. Gabor smashed the like button. We got 182 watching. Should have at least 100 likes, guys. I'm not watching my own video, so I don't know. But if you guys haven't hit the like button, please go ahead and do so. And please tap the shoulder of the person to your right and tell them to smash the like button. And no one gets that reference because it was probably an old corny reference, but that's okay. Heard that Tether was frozen? I haven't really heard that. Bitconnect chart just for a laugh? You know what? I'll do it on CoinMarketCap. It'll be easier. Bitconnect 67. Look at that, guys. Just so you know, the upcoming comment is sarcasm. Guys, we're all the way down here. 6 million market cap. We're up here at like what, $2.6 billion market cap for Bitconnect. This is a bargain, guys. This is a bargain buy right here. $6 million. If you guys like buying bottoms, that's the bottom to buy, Bitconnect. Obviously, that's garbage. But it's really funny. I did this a while ago on one of these live streams, and I think like the next day, it rallied like 30-40%, and it was pretty funny. So there's a Bitconnect chart just for fun. Whoa, rolled over lower there. Missed a bunch of comments. All right, guys, I got to roll towards the bottom here. I'm not going to go through everything. Sorry about that. If you guys want to re-ask your questions, feel free. Not going to hurt my feeling. D's nuts. Yeah, smash the like button as soon as you got here. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Are we shoulder tapping? BQX. Do we have BQX? Is that one of the ones we have on our Power Hour spreadsheet? Towards the bottom, maybe. No, it's XBC. That's what we have. I don't think we have BQX. Yeah, I think some people do still have Bitconnect. I don't even know where you can get it anymore. If you go to CoinMarketCap, there's like one exchange last time we looked. Whatever trade Satoshi is, if they're the only ones. But look at the 24-hour volume. So the coin's just dead. I don't know where they're coming up with these numbers from. The thing's just dead there. Baseclef says, things look weak, but those leverage shorts are pretty darn high. Yeah, they are high, and I think right now, at least, it's for a good reason. So, I think the market's lower. And one thing that we talked a little bit about is, at least in terms of the longs and shorts, we had whoever this short seller was here that really popped in that, what was it, a $70 million short that we all saw right there. That was a pretty smart short seller right there. If you see, they started putting that short on here above 7,000, And I don't know if they shorted it straight into 7,400. That's not really what the chart implies here. But that is a very good place to put it on a short. That is a very smart trader. And what Ted said earlier is, the shorts recently have popped up. And I think in my last video I mentioned we're not looking, but I think it would be interesting to note if we had a very smart short seller actually increase short positions in this, like a bear flag type of scenario, wherever this led us. And we had a little bit of that. So I don't know if all of this is the short seller or how exactly that's working out, but we do have the shorts increasing a little bit right there. And shorts are extremely high. At the same point, the bulls are curling over, going lower. So I think really what this points to is the sentiment in the market really starting to be scared. And some people taking some defensive shorts in case the market drops. I don't know if they're hedging against some Bitcoin they have elsewhere or exactly what's going on, but just because you have high shorts doesn't mean we can't continue lower if the bulls are not willing to support. And if the bulls aren't willing to support, that pretty much leads to more fear and more fear and more fear, and then it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling cycle, if you will, where fear begets fear begets fear, and then you have the Salem witch trials, which means we're down in Bitcoin 4,000, 3,000, and kind of what I think may happen. This is just a theory, and obviously, do what you will with theories. But going back to kind of the 2014 market, someone pointed out this chart here in my Slack pattern. This wasn't me either, but someone pointed this out where you have a rising trend line here and a rising trend line here, kind of like what I just showed you. And the break of this smaller rising trend line, pretty much a bear flag if you look at it like that. There we go. Pretty much a bear flag. Once that breaks, you have the run to capitulation. Now, I'm on a weekly chart. This is going to look different if I go to the daily. It really just dropped me out of that. So if you go to the daily, it looks a little bit different. But you can see once we did break that trend line right there, it was pretty much off to the races. It tried to save us, once or twice. I never noticed those three candles that were zeroed out on Bitstamp. Has that always been there? I've never noticed that. But as you can see in the chart right there, and it's probably not going to happen exactly like this. Markets never mirror each other, but they often rhyme. You've heard that saying, probably from me if you haven't heard it elsewhere. But it's exactly true. Markets don't mirror each other, but they do often rhyme. And this is a pretty decent rhyme right here, I think. So if we do roll over, I think the market sentiment slowly begins to shift, because as you start to take out price levels, so like there's this level here, right? Like there was this level here, and we broke beneath it in decent volume. Look at this, wasn't even insane volume. It doesn't have to be, but we went lower, tried to test it, and failed the test there, and then slowly consolidated until we broke. And if you notice that level, we pretty much took out that support level right there. And then we rallied lower in higher volume, and you can see the sentiment shifting, and then just getting more and more, the market gets more and more fearful until eventually you have the actual ultimate bottom in Bitcoin right here at the 152. So it's definitely possible, and we've been looking for it for a while, and the market hasn't been obliging us with moving lower, but we've been looking for the break in Bitcoin. It just hasn't come yet. It will come in time. No one knows when it's going to happen. So sometimes people, haha, real crypto, I hope your shorts got wrecked, blah blah blah. What they don't understand is I'm not overtly shorting the market like a blithering weirdo. I short the market when it's warranted, right? So in certain situations it's warranted. I think shorting the market, not necessarily exactly right now, was warranted. I think you could have shorted it earlier as we broke down from this higher level. If you were in the market in the real time, you could have shorted up here. I don't know if I would short it exactly right now, but it's not really giving us a lot of bullish indicators. I will say that there is a little bit of support right there, but I think we're going to see some choppiness till we break this low here at about the 61, at least on Coinbase, the 61.13 level. And but you can see there's the big drop and no major support here. It's just kind of going lower. And going back to kind of what we started out talking about, likening that drop. Come on, TradingView, you piece of garbage. All right, come on. Okay, there we go. So kind of coming back to this same level here that we were discussing, I think we're maybe right in here where we're likely to have another larger leg down, at some point in time. So while I wouldn't blanket short here, if you wanted to take some kind of a defensive short with a stop loss a little bit higher, I don't think that would be the worst thing to do, to be quite honest with you. But, it's up to you if you guys want to do that. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just kind of showing you what I see in the charts. And that's what I see. Like right now, we're starting that chop lower. No major support here. We are getting some small bounces. Not sure if that's a little bit of short covering, profit taking, or some bulls trying to be brave and what I call play the hero. So if you're playing the hero here, I think that's very dangerous because when you see these downward movements like this, they can reverse. Obviously, anything can happen in the markets at any time, but this is the first break out of this little consolidation here, and there could be more downside to come. But, on the flip side of that, if you do think the market's going to go long, I don't think you buy down here. I think you actually, remember that stopping point I mentioned, I think you wait until that level's broken in a very similar fashion to like Ethereum. In the power hour, we discussed how to trade Ethereum at the lows. Right here, we noticed this trend line to the downside, and we were discussing the high volume being thrown up here. And I said, look, if you really think ETH is going to bounce, you want to play to the long side, you have a very early entry point right there above this consolidation. So you don't just arbitrarily buy, even if you see good volume. Now, sure, you can. The button's right there for you. You guys can hit that. You guys can hit that button as much as you want, but should you, I guess, is the other question. But we had, a couple different buy points. You had a buy down there. You had a buy as you crossed this trend line. And either one would have been a pretty good entry point. And then kind of the flip side on the short, as we break levels, you could have exited here at 212 at a maximum there in Ethereum and still had a good profit. Even if you went from there to there, you took 15% of the market. That's not too bad. So will we see 5K Bitcoin tonight? Probably not. I don't know. You never know, but it is what it is. You never do know. It's only $250 away if you're looking for a 5 handle. If you're looking for 5,999, like if you want it to get right to there, yeah, it could happen tonight, but no one exactly knows. Are your webinars, are they beginner friendly? I don't know a whole lot about TA. Most of my trades have been poor guesses, and I want to become more educated in my trades. So I only have 2 webinars. Sorry about that, to be honest with you. I should have more information on my site. So are they beginner? I would say the market cycles webinar is more beginner than how to buy the bottom, the Bitcoin bottom. This is about how to buy a capitulation move. Okay, and I walk you through I walk you through how to kind of buy a bottom. I show you a couple different kinds of bottoms. So are they beginner? I won't say they're advanced. I won't say they're advanced. You'll get I probably do use some more advanced terms. I probably don't dumb it down as much as I probably could. But I think I think everyone should know about market cycles, whether you take this webinar or not. I think you should learn about general market cycles because that is what drives the market, is whether you're in an uptrend, a downtrend, a sideways, choppy market. But I think the market cycles webinar is kind of a must-see for anyone that needs to learn about investing. The buy the Bitcoin bottom, like I said, this is about how to buy a capitulative bottom. I don't know if it's necessarily beginner, but it's not going to end up. You're not going to get too lost, I hope. But it's $22. It's not the end of the world. But you're definitely going to get something out of it. That's pretty much all I'm going to say there. It does go through a little bit more intermediate topics. I'd say it's more intermediate than advanced. But I would do market cycles and then decide if you want to do how to buy the Bitcoin bottom. Also, if you're newer, you can join our Slack chat room. And I think you guys, right now you actually can't enter my Slack chat room. I kind of closed it down. We had an influx of people, and I wasn't quite sure if we were being invaded or not. So I actually kind of shut the chat room down. But you can go ahead and shoot me an email, randy@realcrypto.com, and I'll get you invited to the Slack chat room. And you can start to talk to some of the guys in there about some of your stuff. And I'm in there too, and I'll help you out. And then something else you can do is Monkeytron mentions the power hour. I'm not trying to shill everything I've got, but you're asking about my services. So, so $65 a month every single day. We talk about the crypto market for between an hour to 2 hours, and we go over everything. And you can, it's meant to help you guys get better in your trading. Is really what it's meant. So if you got some beginner questions, feel free to ask. So anyway. Could you have a separate course or hour for people who don't short or buy with leverage? Well, Greg, leverage or not, I think the trading principles are the same. If you're newer to trading, you need to learn how to trade first, and then you can get into leverage, and then you can get into shorting, and then you can get into all these more advanced things. But I think in the beginning, you need to kind of learn the basics about trading, how to use this, how to use that, you know. But I don't think you should be shorting or leverage trading as a beginner anyways. And my stuff isn't really, nothing I talked about really has to do with leverage trading or shorting. It really has nothing to do with that. I do mention shorting, but you don't have to short. A shorting point is also a place to exit along if you think of it in that regard too. Everything with trading is kind of two sides of the same coin. You've got, head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders. You've got bear flags. You've got bull flags. You've got declining channels, upward trending channels, bullish pennants, bearish pennants. They're all two sides of the same coin. And so if you're going to short something, like, obviously that's a great short point. Also a great point to exit along. So I really wouldn't worry too much about leverage trading. But I would keep in mind that probably some people may trade leverage and not necessarily disclose that and do analysis like that. Yeah, so keep things in mind. Ask questions. All I got to say is ask questions. Miguel says, if I buy the bottom video, it's live, right? Do I get a copy to watch it later? Yeah. Pretty much all my stuff you can watch later. I don't do any one-time events. It's a recorded webinar, but you will get a link to watch it live, and you can go ahead and email me if you do have issues. You should get a link to watch it again in the future. If you don't, guys, I'm pretty friendly. I've never not responded to an email if I did, it was an oversight. But you guys can always email me if you have any problems with anything or any questions. Feel free to email me. Greg says, yes, but you spend so much time talking about shorting, and that simply confuses beginners. Beginners want to learn, but they also want real advice about what to buy and when. I get that, Greg, and I think the main thing there is to understand that we're in a bear market, and you're not going to have a lot of buying opportunities. We do talk about buying from time to time when the opportunity presents itself. But if it doesn't present itself and the market's going lower, we do have the option to short. And so we do talk about that. Okay? But I see what you're saying, maybe kind of a channel for beginners or something. I'll give that some thought. That may be, I definitely think that could be useful for some people. So I'll definitely give that some consideration. And I'm trying to think of like how I could do that realistically. You know what I mean? I mean, it may have to be some kind of a subscription service, but I guess I'll see what kind of market there is for it. But I can't maintain, all these different things for different purposes, if that makes sense. But I'll give it a shot. Oh yeah, BQX's ethos. I think we do have that Jimmy Choo in my thing. We have one more year of bear activity, plenty of time to invest from now till then. Yeah, we definitely could, Moonshine. If you look at the broader market cycle, we haven't continued going lower, and then we still have some consolidation to do, I think, before we really get going in a bull market again. A must-read book for beginner traders. I've got a few that I really like, and investing is a very broad environment, and if you want to learn about chart patterns, I say you read Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns. that has a lot of good information. If you don't want to buy a book, he actually has a website. I think it's called like, what's his website? Bolkowski. He's got a website, the pattern site. There you go. He's got a pattern site that has a lot of the same information. It's straight out of the 90s, but it does have a lot of good information. So you can go through this, or you can just buy his book over here. I also have How to Make Money in Stocks by William O'Neill that does Investors Business Daily. Both of these are excellent books. And I have Principles by Ray Dalio. Some of these are higher level things. How to Make Money in Stocks won't necessarily tell you a lot about how to invest in crypto, but Investopedia is a great source. There's lots of good sources out there, and it really depends on the kind of information that you're interested in, to be honest with you. Investing is kind of a very broad, it's very broad, and if you're talking about crypto or stocks or a mixture of both, or just want good, or just want really good, like, trading advice and trading knowledge, that's going to be a little harder to come about. There's probably some other courses out there. Market Wizards is a good one. Yeah, I don't have all of them on here, but these are just some of the main ones that I've seen and used. Principles is just an amazing psychological book. These are very good books. This is an entire trading system, both of these books. Or I'm sorry, this book's the trading system. This book is Success Stories. This talks about how some traders using this book became very successful. And it's like $8. It's the cheapest book. It's like $8. It's the cheapest book you're ever going to get that has like pretty good information on it. It's really good. Yeah, Principles is great multimedia. It really is. It's a really good book. Kind of puts things in perspective from a guy that built a really phenomenal enterprise. And we're really lucky he's sharing a lot of his knowledge. As a matter of fact, he just put out something new. His name is Ray Dalio. Multi-billionaire guy, just put out this big debt crisis book. It has nothing to do with crypto, but if you want to know a lot more about macroeconomics, I haven't read it yet. It's a free PDF download. Just put your email address in there. I wouldn't be scared of these guys. These guys don't need your money. He's doing this actually kind of as trying to spread his knowledge to the world here, and also so a lot of other smart people can assimilate the information. But super good stuff, Ray Dalio. All right, multimedia. Yeah, pretty cool. They'll send you an email with a link. It's pretty simple. All right, let's go take a look at Ethereum up at 197. Let's go to the 2-hour chart. So a little bit of supportive action right there. That's actually a pretty decent little bottoming candle. Higher volume, wicking all the way up here. We're closing towards about within the 75 percentile. So that's not too bad right there. Monkey Trail wants to go over 15 minutes. Yeah, we can go over some 15-minute charts. So yeah, again, some pretty good candles right there. Both of those have a little bit of buying to them, but still bear flagging out with volume declining. Probably will continue going lower. And then take a look at Bitcoin real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on 15 minutes. But yeah, lots of volume down here. There's a little bit of support down here at that 6,200 level, it looks like. There's quite a bit of long downside wicks there. A lot of volume here with not too much price movement. And now we're going a little bit higher. So we'll see how high we bounce into this. See if we can even get up here to that 63.13 level. I haven't talked about a short squeeze, Rich. I have not. That's always a possibility. Shorts are pretty high, so I think that is always a possibility. But You just kind of have to let the market play itself out. You can't really guess and anticipate a short squeeze just because we have a short interest on a couple of graphs. USA exchanges that support short selling, none really right now that I'm aware of. I do have a BitMEX account that I trade blindly on through VPNs and such, but there's a very small amount of my accounts on BitMEX. Miguel says, alts keep going lower and it's hard to tell when a rebound is actually the start of a firm recovery. My aim is to optimize my entry points. Is your how to buy the bottom video good for that? So that video is about how to buy basically a capitulation bottom, or how to spot like a kind of a slower capitulation bottom. It's pretty much what it's good for. I mean, I can't go over every possible bottoming scenario for Bitcoin. It would just go on forever. There's a lot of different bottoming possibilities, but it basically does go over how to buy a capitulative bottom, how to identify when we're, when everyone's really scared, when the market's really dropping a tremendous amount, how to kind of make some determinations. And it does use very small charts to really time a bottom. It's really about, it's really about trying to get a very excellent buy is what it's about. It's not about, like I said, small term charts, small time frame, 15, 5, 1 minute charts in some instances if you really want to get a good look around there. BioBurn says, just catching up and joined. The difference to consider with the potential bear flag. The on-balance volume is moving down in February, but it's trending up since on the weekly. I don't do a whole lot. I actually don't do anything with on-balance volume. I can only imagine what it implies, but if you wanted to maybe elaborate a little bit more on that, I can pull it up real quick. And you mentioned the weekly. I don't do a whole lot with weeklies, but maybe with volume we can kind of get a sense of it. Although you're pretty much not going to see these flags on a weekly, so I don't know really how relevant it is to point out a flag in a weekly. I really think you'd want to go at least to a daily chart where you can pretty well definitively see the flag. So the flag here was trending up, on balance volume is trending up, and then we broke to the downside, and it looks like a very, very similar situation here. So I'm not sure if I would take a daily chart pattern and try to reference a weekly indicator, that is a little disingenuous in my mind. Oh, Billy, say it ain't so, Billy. Holding Bitcoin since 14,000. Is it a good time to go into fiat and buy back on the next dip, or is it too risky? So that leads me into kind of a larger topic of conversation that I do every once in a while. When do you not sell your long hodled Bitcoin any longer? And that's a very interesting topic of conversation. Holding from 14,000 is way too bad. I'm sorry. All you got to do is I'm sorry for that. Look, while I am a firm believer that we do move lower while the analysis points to a lower move, that's pretty much what all the analysis points to. You're gonna get to a point where you don't want to sell that hodl position. Okay? In my mind, you could sell and probably get a lower price in time. It's so hard to tell someone to sell when they're down so much, though. It's never a fun thing to. No one ever likes it, especially me, because I'm the one saying, yeah, I think you should do that. I mean, you're down 54%, actually a little more, 55%. Let me get rid of that. There we go. It's always difficult to advise someone to sell. Like, I'm pretty sure I told someone to sell over here up at 7,500, and we went lower, and they felt great, and then we went higher, and they felt horrible. And I don't know if they bought or not, and then we went lower again. So you always run the risk when you're a longer term holder of being whipsawed by big market moves, especially if you sell it low. You know, I would much rather you sell up here, up here, up here, or up here. Now, I can't say we don't get another rally up here to this trend line somewhere. It's absolutely possible we can, but I also think it's fully possible in the very short-term future we kind of break lower here. I almost want to say wait until we break a definitive level on higher volume, which we haven't quite done yet. You know, if you're willing to give it another, I hate to say, you know, $500, $400, but wait till we definitively break a leg lower. Or if you wanted to get out, you may just have to pull the trigger. But that's always such a difficult thing to give an opinion on. And again, this isn't opinion. This isn't like no expert, no you know, so-called expert can tell you to sell here and you'll definitely buy lower. This is why my general strategy is to sell higher and then, you know, maybe trade some bounces, and then we can talk about hodling again once we get down to lower prices. You know, I'm not necessarily against hodling, but I'm against hodling from 14,000. All right, hopefully it's the first time you found my channel, because we talked about that a lot more when we were, you know, like above 10,000. I think the last time I really mentioned someone to sell was probably, like I said, around here, and maybe even been a little bit higher than there. It was definitely above here. No one's really asked me that question since we've been down here, and now that we're kind of here poking towards lows. Oh, that hurts me, my friend. That hurts me so much. So I think you can sell, and I think you can probably rebuy lower. But I can't say we won't have another rally before that happens. SZ says, I'm currently out of the market. Should I buy back in? If so, when? Well, I think you buy back in when the market proves itself that it's trying to put in a bottom. And that capitulation move that we've been talking about a little bit is kind of what we're looking for. So right now there's no major technical impetus for buying Bitcoin. Pretty much it all looks like hot garbage right now. So I would not be putting money to work down here. I'm not a bottom buyer, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I won't buy here. I will never 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 buy here. However, I will buy here. And I will buy here, and I will buy there. I will buy on a confirmation of an upside move. You could make an argument for buying off of this level, okay? So just so you guys kind of know where I'm coming from, I do like confirmations. I don't like to guess a bottom. So keep that in mind. Rich says getting my butt kicked a bit, but it's the cost of an education. Yes and no, Rich. If you're learning, you want to make that cost as low as you can. So in my opinion, you should be trading with a very, very small amount of your investment. Like if you've got a $10,000 stake, trade with $500. Like literally trade with a very minuscule amount while you're learning. You do want the skin in the game so you kind of feel the losses, but you don't want to actually have money extracted from your account if you can avoid it. So definitely trade with smaller amounts of your account while you're learning. I've paid lots of tuition, and I wish I would have heeded that advice earlier as I was learning myself many, many moons ago. Miguel says, confirmation makes sense for short-term trading. For the long-term, bottoms are fine. I don't understand that, Miguel. For the long-term, bottoms are fine. I mean, we're talking about a difference here of like very small percentages. That's like between the low and this confirmation is 7%. Between the low and this confirmation is 8%. I mean, I don't understand what you mean by for longer term. Here's a low. Let's go ahead and pick some of these lows in the bear market real quick. There's a low for longer term. Didn't work out so well. There's a low for longer term. There's a low for longer term. Barely higher there, but again, how do you know when the low is in? And that's I think the whole part about technical analysis and longer term versus shorter term. I think that longer or shorter term. So here's the thing, like let's say you buy off of this one. Let's say you think the bottom's in here, we come down here again, and you buy here and it rallies higher, you're up 29%. But let's say let's say you arbitrarily buy at a low here, you're up 48%. That's fantastic. The problem is if you don't have a rule set as far as when to buy, odds are you don't have a rule set as of when to exit. So you're likely to let that turn into a loss, and then turn into a gain, and then turn into a loss again, and then maybe turn into a bigger loss. So, I don't mind swinging these, and that's why in the beginning of my videos I say one leg at a time while keeping the market cycle in mind. Because if you understand the market cycle, you're trading these bounces, but you're ready to sell, right? You're ready to sell whenever the market trend shifts. And on that same logic, let's kind of put that logic into play. Let's say we have this low here. Now, actually, this is an inverted head and shoulders pattern. We actually called this, and we called a buy right there at 6,400 with another buy up here at 60. I can't get my shortcuts right. With another buy here at 68.50. So by this same logic, you would actually sell up here on a break right there. And so you would have caught the spread, a minimum 14% gain there. And if you picked the early buy point, you would have caught yourself a potential 22% just by advocating on those two rules. But if you didn't have a rule set in place, then you probably would have rolled over lower and given it much more room and given up many of those gains. So by having these types of rule sets in place, you can lock in gains in the market even during a bear market. But by not having those rules in place and by arbitrarily buying lows and thinking you're buying for long term, what you miss is the bigger picture here, that we're setting up to move much, much lower, in which case any of these bottom buys is not going to be fruitful. Miguel says the point you're making is that unless there's confirmation, there's not really a bottom. Yeah, pretty much, absolutely. And that's why it's confirmation. Like, because you can go over here. So I think like my second or third most largest videos I did was Bitcoin 11.5, and we were up here if I remember correctly. I talked about a head and shoulders, kind of here, and there was a mini shoulder here. Yes, it was a bit of a stretch, but I worked out. I was right, so deal with it. I forget exactly where the neckline was. Maybe I got to go to a smaller term time frame. But the whole point was there was a lot of people up here that thought we were just consolidating and missed that head and shoulders pattern, missed the complete parabolic run, which was more of my thesis than the head and shoulders pattern. And a lot of people really couldn't believe we could go all the way down that low. So they were buying these lows here thinking it was the low, and you end up with this drop down to 10,400 and then a subsequent rollover. And so yeah, you never do know where the bottom is. You never know. And even if I say the bottom is in, if maybe one day I do say that, which I've never said that so far, if one day I do say the bottom is in, it's probably that's going to be really hard for me to say because not too much is certain in the market, but I'm not going to be able to say it in real time. Now, if we're watching a live video of the market capitulating, I will probably say this is a good point to buy, but I don't know if I'll say the bottom is in. Maybe, I don't know. But let's say I say the bottom is in, let's say this happens and I say the bottom is in, and then we roll over, I may say the bottom's not in because you never do quite know. Confirmation can get you into a trade, but it still doesn't mean the bottom is in. Like going back to 2014 as an example, so like here's the capitulation move, and that's pretty textbook capitulation. A very big percentage day candle as well as a huge volume candle, okay? And obviously this was never touched. So you may be able to say the bottom is in as you rally and kind of get up towards here. It really starts to look like the bottom is in, but it's a process. The bottoming is a process. Even if it's a one-time event like this, you still don't know until the process completes, okay? You still have no idea until later on. So everyone trying to call for a bottom, everyone trying to say it's done, everyone trying to, play the hero and try to sound smart on their YouTube videos, doesn't quite know yet. They feel it. Maybe they feel it, but a lot of feelings can be wrong. Like this could have been mistaken for capitulation, but it wasn't, right? It rolled back over again. So you see what I'm saying? You never do quite know. And even in real time, I may not quite know. No one can quite know. The only person that knows is the person buying this bottom and if they're going to support it, you know, time and time again. Miguel says it will be well, it will be fruitful if you want to hodl for a few years, but I get it. You're coming from the trading point of view. I think even from an investment point of view, to be honest with you. Now, if you let's go back to 2014. If you buy this bottom and you do want to hold for years, you know, that's not a bad bottom to buy, even in hindsight. You know, we do roll over, and we do roll over a significant amount. This is 44% lower between that bottom and that bottom. That's a pretty big hit. That's a pretty big hit. But, you know, as we get lower, I think anything sub 5,000 in Bitcoin, at least my thoughts are right now, sub 5,000, I think you're free to buy. Okay? If you have long-term horizons. Okay? What I would rather do, just to be honest with you, is let's just look at this chart as an example. And it may not work out this way in our market, but so you've got that big rectangle right there, which is, you know, there you go. You've got this big rectangle right here between this low and this low. Okay? Let's say you thought this was the bottom and you waited until after the bottom was put in, and then it rallied here, and then it rallied here. Maybe you even bought some up here, and then, you know, maybe you sold it as it tried to roll over. I don't know. But I would much rather wait until after the bottom has been put in. I would rather buy on this side of the chart than try to guess on this side of the chart. Does that make sense? Like, this is your line in the sand, and you're never going to know this ahead of time, guys. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. You can have an understanding, you can have a theory, and you can have a feeling, but, you know, I would much rather buy on this side of this capitulation than I would on this side of the capitulation. Does that make sense? Even for your long-term hodls. Even for your long-term hodls. Now, let's go back to 2014. I will actually, believe it or not to toot my own horn. Okay, to toot my own horn. This was fun. I actually bought Bitcoin right here. 255 was my entry because it took me a while to open an account, but I saw the break of this bear flag or this bull flag right here. I saw the break of that, and I'm like, wow, that's like really good volume coming into it. Very low volume here, and it's going, and then it started breaking, and then I moved money around and got in at 255, and then I think I put my seller in at 1100, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that, but I think I did. And it was so crazy, I got filled like way the F down here. It was a crazy fill. I don't know if it was this top or this top, but I think I got filled at like 700 something, even though I put my order in at 1100. It must have been this leg down. Yeah, I think it was this leg down. I gave it a chance, it double topped, and then I put my order in. And the market was so thin at that time, at least via my memory, it ended up rolling over. But so I did trade, but I completely forgot about Bitcoin, and I wasn't even involved in this market cycle. And I said to myself in the time, Randy, don't forget this, don't forget Bitcoin. And then I forgot it like a dumbass. And whoops. I forgot it like a dumbass, but let's go back in real time here. Let's kind of view what people could have been thinking in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and exit the indicators. Remove all indicators. Oh, drawing tools. There we go. So let's go back here, kind of naked chart it. Let's say, you know, we saw this double top, it rolled over. Oop, I need volume. Can't live without volume. There we go. Oh, crying out loud. Sorry, guys. Like yellow or orange or something is what I do. Sorry, I gotta set this up right. Otherwise, I'll be lost. Okay, that's better. So yeah, you know, let's say we come over here and we're in a bear market. We're going down. We're trading Bitcoin up, and then it starts. Sorry, let me get in my right headspace. So we're trading Bitcoin. It bottoms out here. There's no volume here, so we know that's not capitulation. We roll over again. We come back down lower. We see a very low volume here. It starts to roll over. Like, okay, cool. You know, keep in mind you're looking at the chart like this, right? Because it's a daily, and you probably don't have it super zoomed out. But it's here. You see this big volume candle. Maybe you think it's in. Maybe you buy there, and then it goes higher. And you have a bigger volume sell candle, and it fails to rally. So maybe you get out over here or on the breakdown over here, you know. and then you end up with a big capitulation candle, and obviously that's a low. Obviously that's low. I would much rather be buying on this side of that candle than this side of that candle. One main thing, at least for me, and trust me, this is super scientific. Check this out. Super scientific. The price action here is downward trending, and then it stops and goes sideways. So that just stops right there. That's your emergency break, that capitulation candle. I would much rather buy anything over here than anything over here. Does that make sense? So even if you guys didn't do anything until we got a capitulation candle, and it the more and more the market goes on, the more it looks like we will get that capitulation candle. I would much rather buy anything over here. I'd much rather buy any of this rally, maybe even try to buy over here in this little low area, I mean, you can see there's a very well-defined range here. I don't know if we're going to get this same range in Bitcoin going forward. I have no idea. But I would much rather buy in that range than I would try to guess as we're headed lower. Now, the argument could be made that, aren't we in a range here? Haven't we not broken 6,000? Excuse me, guys. Aren't we in a range here somewhere? Where's our range here? Why aren't we buying here? Well, first of all, it's way too close to the peak of the parabolic run. Number one. I mean, that's a cancellation for me right away. And the reason I say that is because anytime you have those huge runs like that, you have to have a washout in the market, okay? You just have to. It's basically a rule of thumb. And washout takes time, so it's too close, number one. Number two, there's no well-defined range. Like, where would you throw this box? We have a series of lower highs. Like, that kind of makes sense because you have this low, or this high and this high, and this high. All those kind of make sense. Does this make sense? Well, we have 2 points right there, right here, and right there. And then we have this point right now. So, I mean, we're getting narrower and narrower. I'm just wondering if we're eventually going to do that, if we're going to roll over and roll over. And sorry, guys, I've not really been watching the chat. I've been kind of going through. Wanted to get my thought out there for you guys. Vlad, did I hear via? You're killing me. Mexican Charlie Lee win all-time high again, Randy. I'm going to say all-time high in 2020. Maybe... yeah, sometime in 2020. That's going to be my guess. Right now. Take that to the bank. Is there a reasonable chance that we move sideways 6K and eventually move back to a bullish trend without ever having been a capitulation low? That is a possibility. I don't really rule anything out. I view the probability of that happening rather low the way the charts look right now. Okay? Now, the charts, the right side of the charts are kind of like you're dealing poker or blackjack, right? So if you're at a blackjack table, you've got 2 cards, I've got 2 cards, he's got 2 cards, he's got 2 cards. With every card that I dish out, or same thing with a poker table, 2 cards, 2 cards, 2 cards, cards on the flop, river, whatever it is, I forget all the terms. With every new bar is another card laid out. And that changes things. Or it doesn't change things. It just depends on the bar. So you have to view things in that perspective. So right now, none of these cards being laid out is telling you that, we were going to go bullish. Here's a little bit of a difference because we had really good volume on this up thrust coming out of an inverted head and shoulders. And I mentioned at the time, this could be a market shift. Ended up not being so far. It ends up not being a market shift. We just end up with a lower high. And now we have, some more lows. They're higher lows, obviously, but, nothing really now indicates that we're just going to chop around 6K. Even though we are chopping around 6K. Until we have a new high at some point in time, it's not going to change anything. So we've talked about these highs. Right? So each of these highs is a lower high. Until that situation changes, we're not going anywhere. Is it a great time to short ETH right now? Well, Igor, it just kind of depends on your time frame that you're trading. To be honest with yourself, just really depends on the time frame. All right, guys, and I'm going to go here in a little bit. Probably got about maybe 5 minutes left. I got a few things to do. Got to pick up the kids and run a couple errands, so I'm going to bow out of here in a little bit. In terms of shorting ETH right now, I think ETH personally is kind of in the middle of a consolidation, probably for the next leg lower. This has been quite a bit of volume right here. There's also some bottoming happening here. So I don't know if it's a great time to short ETH. I'd probably wait for a bounce and then try to short ETH on a bounce. But this type of volume usually is not an accident. Usually is the beginning of a move, not the end of a move, especially because we broke down on higher volume. That usually signals the beginning of a move. So I'd be looking to short ETH on any bounces. No. No. Can February 6th be the capitulation? No. Litecoin 1500 by 2020? No. Absolutely not. If a capitulation candle was so close to textbook, then there wouldn't be a point for accumulation until it came up. Is that a statement or a question? So if you want to go back to that capitulation candle, I don't know why you would try to accumulate before the capitulation candle. So in this situation, so keep in mind we kind of had a little bit of a low right there. And actually, if you notice, that's almost right where that trend line is. Was it the 320 level? Right about there, you have the closes here, almost test there, breaks down there, test there, test there, test there, test there. So, I think as you begin capitulation, you can probably start to enter. Like as we hit these bars, you can probably start to enter on the way down. The problem with that, and here's the problem with that, is you never know how this is going to go. Maybe it doesn't capitulate here as you try to enter early. And that's why I say I'd much rather enter on the right side of capitulation than on the left side of capitulation. Trying to get the bottom of capitulation, like this bottom $30, is very difficult. Is very, very difficult. If you guys want to see what a capitulative bottom looks like, go to my channel, and it's one of my more popular videos. See if it'll even pull up on here. Not really. Yeah, there you go. 1222 real crypto. Right there, market crash of 1222. It's got more than 4.6 thousand views. Right within this video, I actually caught. Oh, come on. I always get these douchebags popping up. Yeah, there you go. So there's a couple of links down here. 5224 if you want the full experience from the low to the high, and then 5408 if you just want the bounce. So you can go ahead and actually see what a capitulation low looks like over here. Now I do kind of jump around to a few different coins, but you can go ahead and if you want to see what one looks like in real time, watch this video. And so 1222, we're looking at this day right here. Right there. The day we spiked all the way back down there to $10,400. And that is a huge candle, and that is also a capitulation candle. But again, way too close to the high. It was like 6 days from the high, so of course it's not the bottom. But it was a capitulative candle. So China FUD episode. Yep, we had a China FUD candle. Yep, number of candles, number of FUDdy candles. Mexican Charlie Lee says, I think Litecoin can do 1K plus if Bitcoin's above 50K. Absolutely, but that's way out in the future, so who cares? So I would much rather be worried about just being in the best coin at the best time than I would worry about where we could go in like 18 months. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for joining me today. Again, I think Bitcoin is in a situation where, I think we're kind of in the early throes of probably a death march. It's not looking as dire as it probably should, but this is probably the first chink in the armor. We'll have to see what happens in the next couple of days. So kind of watch that, see if we go lower. Bear flag. Let's see if it stops here and reverses, or if we just continue lower. If we just continue lower, then I think you can use something like this as your template as far as how we can handle that, at least initially, and then you'll see what the market does. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me today. See you guys next time.